Most founders think they're running their business, but really the business is running them. If you're buried in emails, client fires, and day-to-day tasks, you're working in your business, not on your business. I'm gonna show you the exact 5 systems that I use in my business to regain 25 plus hours per week and exactly what I do with that time instead. When you delegate through systems, quality doesn't drop. It actually increases because you build repeatable processes. All right, so the first system is probably the most important, and it's just understanding where your time is going. We can't really improve anything until we do a time study. So even when I was working in manufacturing, before I went to make a suggestion or a solution, I had to go understand. And I would actually work on manufacturing plant floors, and I'd watch employees build lights. So they build light fixtures, and I would watch them and I time how long individual pieces took, and I would analyze each of that and where that time was actually going. So for you, I have a time study that you have to start with. And this time study just shows exactly where that time is going. And I'd recommend doing this over a full week. Now, you don't have to be super detailed, but what I would say is if you're spending the first 2 hours of your day in emails and then you're spending an hour in billing, you need to document as much as possible. And the more detail you provide, the more it'll allow you to determine what system you need to build first. And this is one of the key things to reducing the amount of time you do, because you might be surprised. When I was scaling my business, I didn't realize that I was spending over 20 hours a week on billing alone. And so I did a time study and I found that out, and then I went and built a system to replace myself. Now, once you've completed this time study, it's time to look at this and see, is there anything I can eliminate? Is there anything I can automate? And if not, what can I delegate? And so our goal is to first eliminate, because we don't want to scale bad processes. If you're doing data entry into multiple locations, you're doing things twice, you're not being efficient with your time, you don't want to scale that into your team. You want to fix it first. Then the next step is, if I cannot eliminate it, how do I automate it? So an example that I did in my billing side was we were manually tracking commissions, and we found a software that cost, I think, $40 a month that automatically tracked commissions for my team linked to our billing software. So it all talked, instead of delegating a broken process, I automated that process. And then when I did eventually delegate, the individual was in charge of auditing instead of implementing. So there was a lot of time saving. It did take me more time initially to roll out that, but again, I had determined that I was spending a significant amount of time, so it was worth me focusing on systemizing and delegating this the best way possible. If you find this helpful, make sure to subscribe, because I share systems like this that help you buy back and reinvest into your business every single week. Cutting the low value task and delegating is just the start. In the next step, I'll show you exactly how to regain even more of your time and make sure that you have that quality increase that you're looking for. But before, we have to talk about, what do I do with the time that I regain? Because obviously, if I'm just not investing that correctly, I'm not actually building the business. So the first one is, the goal is to be working on the business. So building assets, building systems, working on revenue driving partnerships that are actually going to grow that business. I view that as kind of that ownership mentality. What would an owner do? And usually that's finding relationships and implementing capital and implementing resources to scale that business. The next piece is coaching and mentoring my team. Now, the higher you get up and the more you get into that owner position, the higher level of people you're gonna mentor. So I have a team of 5 that reports directly to me, and I mentor them on an individual basis. But to be honest, my COO runs most of the process. So I spend most of the time with my COO, who then also mentors the layer that's working with her. So that's really where that power compounds, is building these systems that allow you to reinvest like capital and amplify your results. And the last piece of this, and something that I've been really focused on lately, is reinvesting into rest and family time, just enjoying your life and getting to actually use that time that you've gained once you've found that success that you were looking for. Now, system number 2 really builds on system number 1. As we delegate or even automate, we have to document these systems so that they're repeatable. That's how we make sure that the quality doesn't drop, is using clear SOPs. And I'm gonna show you 2 different examples, and you will be able to grab these down below. But the first one is really based on a process or a task. Some people call these work instructions, standard operating procedures, SOPs. In my opinion, they're almost all the same. The real difference is one has time included, the other one doesn't. But here is an example of what we do, and for us, since we're not in manufacturing, what most of our systems and processes look like is we have very detailed instructions, but we make sure to have an overview, and we use that for AI, which, hint, that's one of the next systems. But then we also include the why we're doing this and really explain what we're doing, why we're doing it, step-by-step, screen shares. A lot of times I'll put a Loom video into this document, and this is just that master document that really helps us make this process repeatable and ensures the quality is to par. And the best part about this is if someone does make a mistake, all you have to do is, hey, can you just go over that SOP for me real quick and make sure that that doesn't happen again, so they can retrain themselves. You don't have to go sit through, and you can just share that SOP with them and they'll be able to improve instantly. And if it's not in the SOP, you just make sure that you're updating the SOP. Now you'll see that there's some document numbers and things like that. This does get really important. I'll show you why kind of as we get to the next step, but it's super important to have a template so that way as other people in your business, as you scale, they can build SOPs and it all has the correct information and things like revisions and all of that. Now the other one that's a little bit different is kind of that daily SOP or task list. So I use this a lot when hiring new employees, and really what it is that it outlines what that job role looks like. So I still call this a standard operating procedure because it's the standard operating procedure for that job. Now this daily SOP will point to other SOPs or work instructions. So it will help kind of have other trainings that go with it, but it really outlines the overview of what that job is, why they're doing that job, what their individual goals are. So how do they know they're being successful? And then what those tasks are that they need to complete to be successful. Now we have other things in here like priority, notes on that specific task. This is where sometimes I would link to a work instruction or other SOP, how much time I think it should take them, and then their skill set or understanding of what they're doing. So all of this is critical and it gives a good feedback loop. One of the things that I find really important is the priority. So a lot of times it's unclear what is more important. So if I only have 8 hours in a day and I'm running out of time, do I focus on client follow-ups, client meetings, new sales? Where do I spend my time and where do I focus it? And that's why priority is so important, is filling that out and ranking them maybe 1 to 10. So if it's a priority number 1, you know that I need to get this done no matter what every single day. And if it's priority 10, that might not be as important. Now you'll see notes in here as well. As we hire new team members, a lot of times we'll have them kind of live by this document, and we'll go over it daily at first, then weekly, then monthly, then quarterly, and we kind of get farther and farther. But they can go and put in notes and say, hey, I don't understand how to do this, or I didn't have time to do this because of this meeting. So that helps you identify bottlenecks in your business and allows you to remove the barriers to having that employee be successful. Now, on top of that, we include things like goal tracking. So this is just showing whether they're being successful and the documentation for every single month, onboarding steps, who to interview, who to talk to, and then what softwares and tools they need to be proficient in to be successful in their job. And this becomes not only the daily process that they're doing, but an onboarding tool to help them be more successful. Now, the crazy thing about this is every SOP that I build and offboard or delegate to my team, I'm usually saving over 6 hours per week per SOP. So it is really valuable that I do this and I do it right, and I spend the time focusing on how to do that. Now, I mentioned earlier that some of the concerns about delegating and doing things like this is quality drop, and it's making sure that the job's done well. And I'll say that if you're delegating properly, if you're following those steps of eliminating unnecessary tasks, automating everything you can, and then delegating what needs to be done, and then you're hiring the right person to do that job, that's where you're gonna see the quality increase, and you're gonna have better processes, you're gonna have better efficiency in your team, and things will run a lot smoother if you do this correctly. Now, I know this seems like a lot of information and it's very hard to figure out where to start. That's why that time study is so important, is complete that time study and then make sure to just pick one process at a time and really focus on doing it right before you go to the next one. Now, system number 3, I already hinted at, but this one saves me so much time. It's an AI tool that pulls in all of my SOPs and makes sure my team knows exactly what they're doing. And if they have a question, instead of coming to me, they can ask the AI. Now, how do you do this? I already, again, hinted at a master SOP document. So this is where all of our SOPs, live. And I teach exactly how to do this in the Founder Systems AI course down below. But this is where they all live. This is where those crazy numbers come from. We say whether the SOP is active status, inactive, needs to be updated, what department is, what type of information is it, what the title is, who owns that. That's really important to understand if it needs to be revised, because these should really be updated at least once a year. And then the full name. And then what I do is I put that into a master Google Drive folder, so that way I can feed it into our AI tool. And for that, you can use something like N8N or other things I do teach in my course. But to show you exactly what that looks like, in here I just have an example. I quickly asked it, and I'll ask it again, I'll just copy and paste this, is how do I onboard a new client? And then you can even ask it as an AE. So as an AE, so account executive. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna search all those SOPs we built and see now it's building out custom onboarding information as that account executive, so they know exactly what to do. But on top of that, the way we set it up is it's referencing the exact documents, which you'll see here, so that they can click on that and find the full information, and they can continue to ask questions back and forth as if they're using ChatGPT or as if they were Googling it, but it's all based on your custom tools. So it's extremely valuable and saves you so much time. This literally saves me over 10 hours per week. But on top of that, it saves all of my managers a similar amount of time, really reducing how many questions they get asked. Now, system number 4 is a little different than the rest. We've really focused on truly freeing up your time on things you're already doing. This is a little bit more on revenue driving. So especially on that B2B side, if you're in sales or if you're in e-commerce, automating as much of that marketing and sales as possible. So if you're booking calendars and sales calls, making sure your follow-ups, making sure your reminders, making sure a webinar, nurture sequence, all of that is automated, and making sure that you're really intentional with when these communications go out. I've spent so much time figuring out how many emails is too many, how many reminders is too many, what to say, what's too aggressive, what's not. But as you build this out, it really can help you boost your conversion rates. So things like that webinar, automating that. We give a discount code for my PR service when they watch the webinar, because it's proven to increase our conversions, because we pre-educate them, and then the call is more of just validating what they've heard and answering any questions. On top of that, you can build in things like an AI call agent who can answer questions when people call in, who can schedule, who can even take payment, and AI chat agents on the website, similar to what we showed on the internal AI, but the external, so those FAQs. And again, that can help people schedule and answer questions as quick as possible. And we've seen this make a huge impact in our business. For most of this, I use Go High Level, and you can find my affiliate link down below. But if you subscribe to Founder Systems AI, I will also give you the templates that go inside of Go High Level, and I can put you inside of my agency for a lot cheaper than you can just go buy Go High Level yourself. At this point, this is where a lot of founders get stuck, is they built these good processes, they start to reduce how much time they are spending on the business, or they have the ability to reinvest that, but they haven't really gotten that revenue driving and that scalability and those appointments showing up. And so that's where marketing automation outbound comes in. For my business, email marketing has been a huge piece of this. We are B2B, so it's a place where email marketing works really well. But if you're B2C, working directly to customers like e-commerce, that's where you can do things like influencers, partnerships, suppliers, recruiting. So email marketing always has a really strong place. I've gotten some of my best salespeople from reaching out to people that are already being successful in sales and recruiting them that way. For me, the main tool I use here is Instantly AI. There's also another affiliate link down below, and I do teach it in Founder Systems AI. But Instantly AI, then I use Apollo for data, and Clay if you want to get more fancy with it, and you can enrich that data so it's just way more personalized. This system, I used to have 10 full-time W-2 employees doing outbound, doing cold calling, responding to emails, doing custom outreach. We've replaced that. Now I have 2 VAs who run this entire system. We get in more leads per month, and we've obviously reduced our costs, but I get to spend a lot less time actually managing and focusing on this piece because it runs pretty much on autopilot. Now I do have one bonus system for you, and I probably should have started with this one, but this system alone recently gave me back over 25 hours per week. And that's just my personal email automation. So I use tools like Mailman and Fixer. You could also build this with N8N. But what it does is, first off, it unsubscribes automatically from any marketing emails. It'll take those marketing emails and then put them directly into a folder. Any other types of emails that I don't want to get, it automatically files away into individual folders, and I have them named different things. And then for me, what's saving me the most time is it'll automatically draft replies to emails based on my knowledge base. So that way I don't have to spend as much time writing emails, even on the sales side. So it really just cuts down how much time I need to spend in my inbox so I can work on more high value projects like this. So I really like to stay at inbox 0. Fixer is the tool that I'm currently using. You can also build, like I said, build this out with N8N. But the reason why I'm using Fixer is it has some other cool things, like it listens to my Zoom calls and drafts a reply there. And it also has its own built-in calendar, which just makes it easier. It's all integrated. And this is probably one of my favorite systems that I've implemented recently. Remember, every hour you save gets reinvested. That's how systems compound like capital. If you want to keep stacking hours back, subscribe, because I go over systems every single week. Now your next step is to download the free tools I have linked below, like that time study and those SOPs, and implementing them into your business today. And if you need hands-on help, make sure to grab the Founder Systems AI course down below. Now the last thing I promise is, don't just watch. Please stop, do that time study, and implement one thing in your business today, and make sure to subscribe.